I am playing PFP Pit Brawl, a turn-based combat game built in Unity WebGL. In this video, I'm going to walk through the gameplay step by step, showing exactly how matches work, how turns are played, and how different actions like slash, shield, heal, and ultimate affect each fight. I will start from logging in, setting up my player, and then jump into several matches so you can see real combat situations on screen. Everything you see is explained as it happens, so you can easily follow what I am doing and why. Let's get into the game and start the first match. I start by opening the game and logging in using my email and password. Once I'm inside the main interface, I go directly to the settings menu to check my configuration. The first thing I review is the region setting, because this affects where I am playing from. In this case, I select South America as my region and confirm that it is correctly set. After verifying the region, I exit the settings screen and return to the main menu. From the main menu, I move to the Customize Player section. This is where I can see the current setup of my player before entering any matches. On screen, I can see all the equipment that is available for my character. This includes the gear that is already assigned and any other items that belong to my player. I am not buying or changing anything yet. I am only reviewing what I currently have equipped. As I move through this section, I visually inspect each piece of equipment displayed on the character. The game clearly shows what my player is wearing and what is available to use. This helps me understand how my character is configured before I start playing. I take a moment to look at everything so I know what tools and equipment are already assigned to me. This step is mainly about preparation. I make sure my account is logged in correctly. I confirm that the region is set properly. And I familiarize myself with my player equipment before moving forward. Nothing is happening automatically here. Everything I do is visible through menus and character screens. Once I finish reviewing my setup, I am ready to move on to the next part of the game. Now I move to the shop section from the main menu. On screen, I can see everything that is available to buy in the store. The shop displays different categories like items, consumables, weapons, and armor. I scroll through the shop interface to understand what kind of equipment and resources can be purchased. I am not buying anything right now. I am just looking at what is available and how the shop is organized. After reviewing the shop, I go to the option to select my character. At this point, the game asks me to connect my Cardano wallet. I follow the on-screen steps to connect the wallet. Once the wallet is connected, the game starts loading my assets. I can see a message on screen that says fetching NFTs while the game is loading the data. I wait a few seconds until this process finishes. When the loading is complete, my character is now ready to be used. I confirm the selection and then press the play button. This action takes me out of the menus and into the matchmaking flow. The screen changes and I am placed into a room where the game searches for a random opponent. I can see that the system is looking for a match. Automatically, I wait a few seconds while the matchmaking runs. Nothing else is required from me at this point. The game handles the pairing process on its own. After a short wait, the match is found. The screen transitions again and now I am inside the match. This is where the actual gameplay begins. At this point, I am no longer navigating menus. I am now in a live match against another player and ready to take my first turn. But the match is played in turns and I can see clearly when it is my turn to act. On my turn, the game shows 4 possible actions on screen. These options are slash, shield, heal, and ultimate. The ultimate option is not always available and depends on the state of the match. I choose my action by selecting one of these options and then the turn resolves. After my action, the turn passes to my opponent and I wait for their move. As the turns continue, I can see the results of each action visually. When slash is used, damage is applied. When shield is used, it reduces or blocks incoming damage. When heal is used, it attempts to recover health. I follow this turn-based flow until the match reaches its conclusion. In this first match, the sequence of turns does not go in my favor. I continue selecting actions when it is my turn and watching the outcome of each exchange. Eventually, the match ends, and I lose this first game. The game clearly indicates the result on screen. Once the match is over, the interface transitions out of the battle view. This concludes the first match and shows how the basic turn system works. I have now seen how turns alternate and how each action affects the match. With this understanding, I am ready to start another match. I start a second match, and this time I begin by attacking aggressively. As soon as it is my turn, I choose slash and apply damage to the opponent. On my following turns, I continue selecting slash 4 times in a row. Each time I can see the attack animation and the damage being applied. After those consecutive attacks, I switch my approach and choose shield. This puts my character into a defensive stance for the turn. Once the shield action resolves, I go back to attacking. I select slash again and then another slash on the next turn. I can see that the opponent is taking damage and the health values are changing accordingly. At this point, the ultimate option becomes available. When I see it active, I select ultimate. The game executes the ultimate action and applies its effect immediately. After using the ultimate, I continue with more slash actions. Each turn follows the same structure. I choose an action. The animation plays, the results are applied, and then control passes to the opponent. I keep an eye on my health and the opponent's health as the turns progress. Toward the end of the match, the opponent's health drops to 0. The game signals that the match is over. This time the result is a win. The victory screen appears and confirms that I won the second match. This match clearly shows how chaining attacks and mixing in defensive and special actions can change the outcome. Once the match ends, the game exits the battle view and prepares me to move on. I start a third match, and once again I wait for the system to find an opponent. This time the matchmaking process takes a little longer than before. I stay on the matchmaking screen while the game searches for another player. Nothing else changes on screen, so I remain patient and wait for the match to load. After a short delay, the opponent is finally found and the match begins. As soon as it becomes my turn, I immediately start attacking using /. I select / right away to apply pressure from the start. During the early turns, I use / several times in a row. I can clearly see the attacks landing on the opponent. Even though the hits connect, the damage I am dealing is relatively low. I am not able to create a strong advantage with these early attacks. As the turns continue, the opponent begins dealing more damage to me. Each time they attack, my health bar drops more noticeably. I compare our health bars and realize mine is decreasing faster than theirs. At this point, I know I cannot keep trading damage like this. To avoid losing the match too quickly, I decide to use shield. When I activate shield, my character enters a defensive stance. The shield reduces the damage I take during that turn. I can visually see the defense taking effect. This defensive move gives me a small window to survive longer. Using shield buys me a bit of time to stay in the fight. After using shield, I return to attacking because I still need to apply pressure. On my next turns, I select / again. I try to keep attacking to prevent the opponent from controlling the match. The opponent responds by defending and countering my actions. I can clearly see when the shield is active. When the shield is up, my attacks are blocked and deal no damage. This makes it harder to push through and regain control. Even though I continue attacking, the opponent manages their turns more effectively. They time their attacks and defenses better than I do. Little by little, they maintain control of the fight. As the match goes on, my health continues to drop. I am unable to recover enough health to turn the situation around. The opponent lands stronger hits and keeps the advantage. Eventually, the opponent performs the final actions needed to end the match. My health reaches 0. The game confirms that I have lost the third match. The result is displayed clearly on screen. Once the result appears, the battle view ends. The game transitions out of the fight interface. The loss is confirmed before returning to the main flow. This match clearly shows that waiting for an opponent is normal. It also highlights how damage output, defense timing, and decision-making matter in turn-based combat. After seeing the result, I prepare myself for the next and final match. Toward the end of the match, the opponent's health drops to 0. The game signals that the match is over. This time the result is a win. The victory screen appears and confirms that I won the second match. This match clearly shows how chaining attacks and mixing in defensive and special actions can change the outcome. Once the match ends, the game exits the battle view and prepares me to move on. I queue for the final match, and once again I stay on the matchmaking screen while the system looks for an opponent. This time the wait is a little longer than before, but after a short delay, the match finally starts. When the first turn begins, we both choose /, and I can clearly see both attacks land and deal damage at the same time. The health bars update on screen and the fight continues to the next turn. On the second turn, we both select / again, but this time the result is different. The opponent's / deals much more damage than mine, and I immediately notice that my health drops faster than theirs. From this moment, I am already behind in the match and need to adjust my decisions. On my next turn, I look for another option to respond to the damage gap, so I choose Ultimate. The Ultimate animation plays and damage is applied, but it is not enough to recover the advantage or equalize the fight. The opponent answers with another / and my health is reduced even further. I am now clearly losing the exchange. I keep trying to stay competitive, so on the following turn, I select / again. Both attacks resolve normally, but the difference in damage output remains and I am still behind. At this point, my health is already very low, so I decide to focus on defense. I select shield to reduce incoming damage and buy some time. The opponent uses /, damage is applied, and the shield helps limit the impact. On the next exchange, the opponent activates shield, and I choose heal in response. The heal action triggers, but I do not recover any health at all, and I can clearly see that my health bar stays the same. This puts me in a very difficult position. We continue trading actions, both selecting /, and this time, neither of us deals damage during the exchange. With very few options left and my health still low, I decide to take one last risk and select Ultimate again, hoping it will deal enough damage to change the outcome. Before my action resolves, the opponent lands another /. That final hit ends the match immediately. The game shows that I have lost the match, the battle view closes, and the result screen confirms the defeat. This ends the final match and closes out the gameplay session. Once the result appears, the battle view ends, the game transitions out of the fight and confirms the loss on screen. This match shows how waiting for an opponent is normal and how damage output and timing matter in turn-based combat. After this result, I prepare for the next and final match. Thank you so much for watching to this episode, and before I go, don't forget, if you'd like to receive a very short but value-packed email from me every Tuesday, you can sign up for the Cardano Gaming newsletter. Every Tuesday I'll be sharing the latest from the Cardano gaming ecosystem to help you make better decisions. So, if you don't want to miss out, just go to the link on the screen, leave me your email, and very soon I'll be in your inbox. That's all for today. I hope you have a great week.